Hi, everyone. Welcome to Authentic Expressions. My name is Mige Kalim, and I'm glad you are here to join us. So, today's session is Finding Yourself After Years of People Pleasing. So, we are grateful for Laurel Ridge for sponsoring this program, and I'm going to read to you some of the services offered by Laurel Ridge. So, Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey of wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer services for inpatient, outpatient, substance abuse treatment, residential treatment. Feel free to call 210-491-3591 for a no cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope. So we are grateful for their sponsorship. All right, I see Cheryl has logged in. Welcome, Cheryl. So today's topic is finding yourself after years of people pleasing. So tell me what questions you have that I can answer. So while you are posting your questions, I'm going to read a quote by Amanda Ray. She says, "Everything you need is within you, the strength, courage, and confidence to change your life. You just need to look within yourself and find it." All right, good. Christine, welcome. Dora, welcome. Good to see familiar faces and names again. So, the topic is finding yourself after years of people pleasing. So, tell me what questions you have related to learning to accept yourself and to reduce people pleasing. All right, I'm looking for your questions. All right, Jeff, great. Good to see you too. So, Jeff's question is, how do you tell if you are a people pleaser? I don't feel like I'm a people pleaser. Awesome. Great question. So, how do you know if you're a people pleaser? It's important to think about in your relationships with others. Do you find yourself caving in, or do you find yourself acquiescing, giving in, and making sure that others are happy with you, your decisions? And sometimes our people pleasing behavior is very rooted in our childhood. We are we spend vast amounts of time pleasing our teachers, our parents, friends, colleagues. And at times this can be so overwhelming that we forget to step back. So you have to gauge how you do decisions. Do you find yourself doing decisions because you want to get acceptance from others, because you are seeking approval, because you want to um, meet the expectations of others so that you are within the in group? If you find yourself continuously doing this, then it is a people pleasing behavior. In people pleasing, many times we sacrifice ourselves to keep others in our lives. So we self abandon, which is not healthy. So think about the opposite of self abandoned. It's important for you to be present, to be accepting of yourself, because we are so busy trying to get others to accept us, we forget to accept ourselves. So think about your priorities. Do you always adjust things so that others get their way and so that others will embrace you because you are doing what they want? So people pleasing, it's years of grooming and years of repeatedly caving into others. So that can be a detriment to your own mental wellness. Okay, Claudia, welcome back. Dora goes, when finding myself after years of people pleasing, I tend to fall back into this that same behavior. What are ways to keep from continually people pleasing? Yes, when you fall back into the same behavior, is it because you took your eyes off the ball? You took your eyes off the bullseye. Our bullseye should be working on ourselves, making us a priority, valuing ourselves, respecting ourselves. When we people please, we take self respect out and then we put in other people and their expectations. So when we keep compromising yourself, cheating yourself for who you are, and when people know that, they will know how to use that guilt button to get you to change, to get you to acquiesce. So when we take our eyes off the focus of ourselves, from ourselves, that is when we slip and we do people pleasing behavior. So our goal is always to think, okay, what can I do to respect myself? What can I do to honor me rather than cave in to give in to what others want? So you yourself should be a priority. As a person, you should always be a priority. As a parent, it's more important that you're a priority because then you model for your children that taking care of themselves is always a priority. When they see you take care of yourself, then they will know how to do that with other people. When they see you stand up for you, then they will mimic and emulate the same behavior. But if you cave in, they too will cave in and give in to others because they see you do the same behavior year in, year out, week in, week out. So anytime you want to get your children to change, get your spouse to change, don't worry about changing them. The best change you can do is you yourself. So many times we think of change in terms of changing other people. But when you change the way you work, the way you respect yourself, and you respect yourself and follow through rather than say something and don't follow through, then people will show, okay, this person is not serious. Then they will push the people pleasing button more. All right, Claudia goes, how can I know want, what I trust, want if I always lived for others? All right. Yes, that's a great question. If you've always lived for others, how do you trust your instinct? How do you trust your decision? Trusting your decision is learning to look inward, learning to look at first, like what principles guide your living. One of the key things that you want to remember is always to respect you. It's an underused word, and we think respect is other people giving it to you. But respect is you yourself respecting yourself. Because when you show respect to yourself, that means whatever you say, you follow through. You don't just say something and it becomes an empty word. When you don't respect yourself, then you're teaching other people to disrespect you. So trust yourself, meaning, okay, what does your gut say in relationship? How do you want it to show up? You want to speak up and you want people to honor it. When you ask for something little, make sure that people hear you and they deliver. And when they don't deliver, you ask them, what did you hear me say? This is the request that I am making. So start to be more upfront rather than beat around the bush and make apologies when you ask for things. And don't ask for something and then overly apologize. Don't even apologize at all. Because whenever you apologize, that means you took away what you just asked for. So it's very important that you learn to deliver clearly. If you're unsure how to deliver, write it down because then you know how to say it in one sentence. When you deliver in one sentence and you don't back off, back down, or lower your voice, then people think, okay, she is serious, he is serious. So it's not just asking, but how you deliver tells people if you are serious about what you're asking for. If you're asking timidly, people will know, okay, she's not serious, he's not serious. So then they blow you up, and then you wonder why. So you have to keep working on yourself. All right. Christine asked, where can you find the balance? I tend to do this and hold resentment towards others because I do not get that in return. As for doing the same for me, yes. So balance is important. When you enter into a relationship, do you enter to give into other people, or do you enter because, you know, you want a mutual exchange? Because if you enter because you want to buy friendship, you want the relationship because you want to be accepted, then it sets you up to be a victim. So if you value yourself, think about your contribution to the relationship. Don't think about, you know, I want others to do this for me. I want others to accept me. I want others to embrace me. I want others to not reject me. Instead of putting it on others, put it on yourself to accept yourself, to value yourself, to show love to yourself, to embrace yourself, to show compassion to yourself. Because all this makes you a stronger friend, a better spouse, an improved parent. But if you're waiting for others to accept you, it can be a long journey, because respect and honoring and being who you are fully starts with you, rather than waiting for other people to do likewise in return. But you also have to be selective. If you find that in relationships, when people blow you off, is it because you show a very timid presence? So you have to think about how you want to show a courageous, brave presence. Show a presence where you come across as self-respecting. Then people will deliver. When you show up for yourself differently, people will also show up to respect you. All right, Brittany asks, is people pleasing a trauma response? Wow, that's a great question. So, is people pleasing a trauma response? So, some level of people pleasing is part and parcel of life, because we coexist, we work along with people, and it's important to coexist but not sacrifice yourself. When you sacrifice your values, your principles, your personhood, then it is coming from a very different place. And that's what you're asking, is it a trauma response? So again, it goes back to the roots of the person. So in their history, were they already using people pleasing behavior to get approval, acceptance from their parent, who was very absent, who kind of floated in and out, who showed who they were unresponsive? And when the child sees that a parent is, indifferent, unresponsive, then they do more of the people pleasing behavior. Then they do more of the self-sacrificing behaviors that gets the parents' attention, and to get the parents to love them, validate them. And when it crosses the line of being self-sacrificial, where they do not even know themselves, their identity, their personhood, then it's very traumatic, in that the person does not even know who they are, who he or she is. The response is more about caving in, showing a self that is about pleasing their parents, buying love. Because when you do that with one person, meaning the parent initially, then the child may do it with friends, do it with teachers, do it with um, significant relationships. So over time, when they spend so much time sacrificing themselves, over a period of 10 years, 15 years, they may think, okay, it's acceptable because I get to keep people in my life. But over time, after 10 years, 15 years, they may not know who they are because they have sacrificed so much that they lose their identity in being with the person that they are in. So it's very detrimental to the self when we keep doing things for others to get approval, to get acceptance, to get love. So think about how you can show up for yourself and not just spend vast amounts of time caving in and doing what others want. Okay, Carolyn, welcome. How do you teach yourself to sit with the feelings of guilt when you say no? Okay, great question. So, to respond to that question, I want you to think about you don't want guilt to show up. What do you want? What feeling do you want to show up when you say no? So, if you hover over the guilt, think about the opposite. What feelings do you want to show up? So, you want clarity to show up, you want assurance to show up, you want firmness to show up. So, in saying no, it's about respecting your rights. So you want self-respect to show up. That's great. So when you respect yourself, you will say yes to yourself and no to other people. So don't just think about saying no to other people. Flip it and go, what do I need to do to say yes to myself? If people keep asking you to do things and they dump things on you, so don't think about saying no to them. Think about saying yes. Yes, I need to take care of myself. Yes, I need to protect my time. Yes, I need to manage my tasks so that I can be effective in all my undertakings. So think about saying yes rather than just saying no. Because if you have clarity about what you want to say yes to, then you can easily go to say no to other people. So then you can say, no, this is not within what I've planned for today. So what I plan for today is this. So when you stick to what is in your game plan, then it's easier to say no. But because most of us don't know our game plan, we don't know our values, our principles, then we compromise a lot. So always be in tune to what your values are, what your principles are, how to organize your priorities. When you have clarity, then you can say yes to yourself easier. So, it doesn't have to be a complex or a complicated list of values, a complicated list of priorities. If you can state them clearly, 1, 2, 3 in your values, 1, 2, 3 in your priorities, then you go, okay, for this month, I'm going to work on these. I'm going to put this in the forefront of my practice. And when you do that, then you have clarity about where you are going, and then you are more likely to follow through with these ability to say yes to yourself. Yes, self-respect is a very important principle to guide you in saying yes to yourself. All right, Felicia, welcome. When you have a history of people pleasing, how do we inform the people that we are no longer showing up the way we have been in the past? Yes, yes, yes. Great question. And many times I don't believe in just telling people, explaining it. What I am more prone to do is to act it. When you act a certain way, people go, all right, I hear the answer. When you explain it, then they will test you. So it's very important that you, rather than explain, show it in action. Example is when you're tired of people borrowing money from you, family members, rather than explaining it and saying that, I don't want to do this anymore, just say, that was the last time, and then you walk away or you hang up. Because if you continue in that conversation, it only sets up more room for debates, challenges, and guilting. So people who are used to you caving in will find that, I know how to guilt him or her. I know how to push her buttons. And then, after I do it so many times, she usually caves it because they already have a plan in mind. So instead of explaining it, they have a plan. So learn to use your actions. Don't answer the phone. Learn to walk away. Learn to change the topic. These are all things to protect you. Don't think about, okay, I don't want the people to feel this way. You cannot control how people feel, but you can manage and work on your behaviors. Yes, you're tired of people borrowing money from you. And because you hang around and you debate it and you explain it, that sets you up to get people to borrow more. When you don't answer phone calls because you know that most calls surrounds borrowing money. If you learn to respect yourself and honor it rather than get into those conversations, then people will know, okay, I cannot use her because she has changed. So people will pick up your energy, your your timid energy, your unsure energy, and they will push it until they get what they want. So let your actions speak rather than just use your words to defend or explain your point. So it's important that you respect yourself in your decisions. Yes, Felicia goes, yes, learning to walk away, ignoring them causes me anxiety because of my childhood neglect. So it's important to work on yourself rather than thinking that, you're going to be neglected. It's important that you learn to fill your own cup. Think about how you nurture you, value you. Because if you are continuously dependent on other people to give you love, then you are forever a victim. It is important that you learn to love yourself. We all need to learn to love ourselves rather than be dependent on people to give it to us. Anytime you depend on other people to give it to you, then it's a setup. So remember, our parents, in an ideal world, they're supposed to love us, nurture us, be present for us. But since we don't live in an ideal world, don't always depend on other people to show up for you. It's important that you show up for yourself rather than wait for them to show up. They didn't give it to you for the first 20 years of your life, for the first 30 years of your life. What are the chances of them giving it to you the next 40 years? So learn to work from a well that produces water rather than going to an empty well. So you have to learn to make those decisions and see things clearly that they were never able to give to you. So to expect it would be also setting ourselves up to fail. So it's important that you look at how you can nurture you. All right. Other questions related to self-respecting behaviors rather than self-sacrificing behaviors? Think of some action words that allows you to show self-respect. So if you can put it in the chat area, that would be awesome. What are some words that promotes self-respect for you on a daily basis? Okay, any responses? So while accountability, I like that. Yes, being accountable, holding yourself accountable, not other people, holding yourself accountable. If you say you're going to do it, if you say that, you're going to stop doing this and you're going to start doing this, and make sure you do the start. Yes, Christine says acceptance, self-respect also means accepting yourself rather than be dependent on other people to accept you. Good, very good. I like the two A words, accountability and acceptance. Okay, anyone else? All right. While I am waiting, I'm going to read a quote by Becca Lee. The surest way to lose your self-worth is by trying to find it through the eyes of others. Again, the surest way to lose your self-worth is by trying to find it through the eyes of others, by Becca Lee. Okay, so to build your self-worth is to find it in your own eyes. All right, Claudia goes, believe in yourself. That is awesome. All right, I like all these words. All right, one more quote. Dora goes, trust. Okay, Cheryl goes, trust, self-compassion. Trust yourself is all self-respecting. All right, Carolyn goes, how do you help a client accept the fact that his mother will not accept him or his male partner? He keeps going to an empty well. Yes. Many times people perpetrate on themselves. Whatever that was done to them by their parents, they tend to do the same thing to themselves because that is in their so-called their emotional DNA. So it's sad. So it's important to address the fact that when they keep going to the empty well and expect spring water to show up, it's a self-sabotaging behavior. So I would check into their history of self-sabotaging and to put power into the hands of others who cannot give it to him is very self-sacrificial. It's a very emptying experience. So consider going to wells that are full, not going to empty wells. All right, it is almost time for us to close, and I am going to share a quote by Aristotle. It says, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Again, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Thank you so much for showing up this evening. I appreciate your questions. I love the questions. So next week, we're going to talk about the fear of disappointing others. The fear of disappointing others. So let's look at what fears we have. Let's bring some interesting questions. All your questions have been very thought-provoking. I love the questions asked. So thank you for showing up. So again, our sponsorship is Laurel Ridge, and they offer a variety of services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They have a variety of services, inpatient, outpatient, substance abuse, and residential treatment. So be sure to call 210-491-3591. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you next week on the topic of the fear of disappointing others. Have a wonderful evening. Awesome questions.